two barges that collided in the Bohoi Sea, and this is one of the strongest storms ever recorded on Earth. Can you imagine being these people who were being rescued from the sea here? Again, only 3 people confirmed dead so far as we start to get these new images in, and sadly, investigators, authorities are quite sure, they're telling us, that the death toll will probably rise. In the meantime, I want to get to CNN's Paula Hancock, who's riding out the storm in Manila, in the Philippine capital. Paula, tell us what you're seeing, what you're hearing from where you are and from other places.
Well, Don, Manila itself, the capital, has actually not been badly hit by this typhoon at all, but further south has been. And what we're hearing from officials at this point is, quite frankly, they don't know how bad it has been. They have no communications with many areas in the central part of the Philippines. Communications are out. Electricity is out in many of these areas, so they have blackouts as well. And the local time is midnight. So at this point, it is very difficult for them to have a real grasp of just how big this disaster is. I mean, it has been called a potential calamity by officials, by people in power. There were real concerns that this was going to hit the country very hard, because many of these areas in central Philippines are not very built-up areas. There are some very significant cities, but many areas are small villages. There are many poor areas, and they are not substantial homes that the people are living in. Now, we know more than 700,000 people were evacuated. They were taken away from the low-lying areas because they knew there were going to be some storm surges, and that was going to affect those along the coast. But at this point, we just don't know if they have evacuated enough people, if that evacuation was significant enough. Many of the roads as well are down because the sheer force of the winds actually brought down a number of trees, and so at first light, rescue crews are going to have to clear the roads before they get to some of these areas. And of course, the military's on standby for first light to get in the air and try and get to these areas and see what people need. Don?
Paula, let's continue on and talk as we get these new pictures in every moment here on CNN from this monstrous typhoon here. Can you talk to me a little bit more about the infrastructure there? Can it sustain these types of winds and, probably more important, the storm surge?
Some parts can. I mean, what we're talking about is 2/3 of the Philippines. This is an enormous area we're talking about because this super typhoon is so large. So some areas will have proper infrastructure. We know there's around 600 shelters that have been opened up in about 29 different provinces. So people will have gone to those shelters. And of course, the hope is that the shelters themselves were significant enough and the infrastructure was strong enough to withstand these significant winds.